Hey everyone, James Niggemeyer here. Thank you for tuning back into the YouTube channel. Today I'd like to do a video for my playlist New Tackle and Trends. The trend has been a movement in the bass fishing world towards forward-facing sonar, and today I've got something that centers around that type of fishing. If you're like me and you like the traditional ways we've always caught them, then I totally get it. But if maybe you don't fish tournaments and you do it recreationally, and maybe even if you do fish tournaments, forward-facing sonar is something to contend with. I've actually had to learn how to do it and be more proficient with it so that I'm more of a well-rounded angler. It looks like that's the rules for now, and so we got to play in a manner that helps us be as effective as possible. For a while, the trend has been in the forward-facing world to fish smaller baits like this Yamamoto scope shad, smaller stuff, and that's because it kind of originated from that whole Demiki fishing, and a more like Demiki type head would be this Buckeye Baits scope head, and then there's the Yamamoto scope shad on the back, fits perfectly, great way to catch them, and it's very effective, whatever soft plastic minnow bait you like. Traditionally, that whole type of fishing was centered around your smaller type baits, smaller heads, smaller offerings. Lately, the trend has moved kind of away from the smaller baits and more towards larger profiles, either because the fish are responding better or the bait fish is larger. Whatever it is, baits like this Big Bite Baits jerk minnow and other similar ones used on the back of a jig head has been the trend. I mean, it just works. Sometimes the fish just want a larger profile. They just want a bigger bait. But the issue that anglers have had is that the jig heads that we've had to present those things on have been smaller hooks. And when you have a larger bait, like a Big Bite Baits jerk minnow, the fish can come up behind it and grab the bait and never get hooked. So I've actually had that happen to me several times. You get a fish just come up behind it and you're pulling on it, you see him eat it on the forward-facing sonar, on your Lowrance active target, and you just don't get that fish. For whatever reason, they just grab the back end of it, don't take the whole thing in, and if you just had a larger hook profile, you could actually hook and land those fish. And so Owner, meeting the demand of the anglers, came out with the round ultra head. And this is made for your forward-facing sonar, for your pinging a minnow, jigging minnow, hover strolling, all those types of things, whatever it's called, fishing more in that open water. Owner's giving you the ability to meet the need of the angler and meet the new trends. So fishing a larger jerk minnow like this on a jig head is now possible. This jig head has a 5/0 hook, even though it's only a 5 gram, which 5 gram is actually more like a 3/16 ounce size. And love some of the things that they've done with this. They actually molded the lead up to meet the top of the eye of the hook and around that portion there. So as the water pulls over it, as you're pulling it through the water, and so it's going to act like a rudder, and I believe that's made to actually create more action in the water column. And then you've got a double barb there as well to keep your soft plastic baits on there. I'm going to kind of rig this one up. Always try to rig up everything in a manner that's as straight as possible. Get it all the way up onto the hook with as much body on there so that the bait works the way it's supposed to. So you can see now that we now have a bait that has a hook to match it. But traditionally, when you have a bigger hook like this, you've got something like a 1/2 ounce or 3/4 ounce with a 5/0 hook. So this is a really kind of a neat way to adjust to the new trends that anglers are using and doing, and still have a light head but have a bigger hook. So that's the 5 gram size, and then there's also an 8 gram. I think there's actually a 10, and there might be a 3 gram. 8 gram is, I think, a little heavier than 5/16 ounce, and then maybe it's maybe it's closer to a 3/8, and then the 5 gram is kind of like a little bit heavier than the 3/16, I believe. That's where we're at. Owners met the need of the anglers as the trend moves in the fishing industry more towards larger baits, and sometimes It's not necessarily that the bass want a larger profile. It might be just something that triggers them. They get used to seeing a lot of these smaller baits in the water column, and then you show them something bigger, something that isn't similar to everything else they've seen, and that just draws strikes. The trend might sweep back to more of a traditional, Demiki style scope head like this Buckeye, but for now, this has been the new tackle and trend that's happening in the fishing industry. Larger scope baits, larger baits for using your active target, your forward-facing sonar, whether you're hover strolling, you're pinging a minnow, jighead minnow, whatever it is. This is what's going on, and I wanted to share that with you guys in case you're not familiar with this new item. Came out at ICAST and back in July. I think a lot of guys are looking forward to using these for their jighead minnow fishing because now you've got a hook that comes back further in the bait. Thank you for tuning into the YouTube channel. If you're not aware, I have some new merch. It's called Team Niggemeyer Fishing. Go over there, check it out, see if there's anything you'd like. Maybe it's not too late for a Christmas gift, maybe. And I'll leave that link in the description below. Also, I'll have my website in there if you'd like to learn more about me and what I do. And then also I have a guide service, whatever it is, all that information is there in the website. Thanks for tuning into the YouTube channel. And until next time, good fishing.